Stop getting ripped off by EcoFlow and their expensive add-on batteries. I've got the EcoFlow Delta 2, and check this out, a massive 5 kilowatt hour golf cart battery hooked up through the expansion battery port itself. Or option 2, you can connect things this way and still utilize external batteries you already have. This is the Delta 2 OEM external battery, but then I've simply spliced into the extra battery cable here and added this golf cart battery to it. So you do not need to abandon your extra batteries you may already own. You can easily still make use of those while still adding massive cheap power expansion. Got a space heater running, almost 900 watts. And you can see 13.5 amps of that is coming out of this battery. Let me show you how to do this. A couple of things to mention really fast. One, you're working with dangerous DC power here. So do not attempt to do this unless you are very comfortable working with electricity and understanding how it works. I'm showing this to you for entertainment value only. You should certainly consult a professional before doing this and understand fully and completely that if you attempt this, severe bodily injury or death could occur, as well as significant property damage or loss. And then I also need to do a shout out to the Old Jarhead YouTube channel. He'd made a post a couple of weeks ago about this whole setup and linked to the original location that this concept came from on a Reddit post. So big shout out to the original poster on Reddit. I'll leave a link to that down in the description, as well as a link to the Old Jarhead's YouTube channel. Go check him out and subscribe. You just need very few components. One, you need some 8-gauge wire. I really like this stuff because it's the silicone insulation and it's like crazy flexible. I'll leave a link for that down in the description. Next, you need 1 kilo ohm resistors. You can buy this whole pack for dirt cheap on Amazon. Leave a link for them down in the description, as well as these little 5mm bullet connectors. They come in a whole bag with male and female. You need the male ends, as you can see right here. And then you also need some ring terminals. This kit is really nice because it has the ring terminals as well as the heat shrink, because you need to be able to put those on one of the ends. And then last but not least, you need a DC rated circuit breaker. And then you'll need some tools and whatnot, such as a multimeter to ensure polarity is correct, as well as, wire strippers. I had to solder these connections on. I had to crimp those ring terminals on. I think you could probably get a cable that's 8-gauge with these ring terminals already. I looked really hard to try to find a cable pre-made with these bullet connectors, and I couldn't find them. So if you find any, please leave a comment down below and let me know where I could find them so that I can link them for other people. But for now, I think you've got to be able to make this yourself with a little soldered connection. So building this wiring harness is incredibly easy. Now I went ahead and put some ferrules on the other end, and that way it would make a good connection in this circuit breaker. Same thing on this other side. You might be able to see the little ferrules sticking out just a little bit there. And then on the other end, I just crimped on these ring terminals. That's literally all you've got to do to make that wiring harness. Okay, next on the resistor. If you look at the extra battery port, and this is universal across all the units that have this style of expansion battery port. Notice how this plastic over here around this terminal is square, and then on this one, can you see how the corners are kind of cut off? The easy way I remember it is the 1K ohm resistor goes in the top and bottom hole. So see these 6 holes right there in the middle for the communications. So the top and the bottom hole with the side closest to the main terminal that's kind of square. That's how I remember it. Now listen carefully when I put this in. You'll hear a little relay click inside, and you'll know that it's working when you hear it click. See if you can hear it. Did you hear that? It just clicked off and now it clicked back on. So that's how you know that it's active. Now it's a fairly loose fit on this. There may be an option here to make it a tighter fit, but I found that it can stay pretty darn secure if you're not moving the unit around. Okay, let me show you. The unit is off. The resistor's in place. And if I take a multimeter and probe inside the terminals, you'll see that we don't have any voltage really. present. Now, watch what happens when I turn this on. I'm going to let you see the voltmeter. See that? So as soon as you turn the unit on, then all of a sudden we shoot up to, 53 volts. And you can see here we're all powered up. Now double check yours with a multimeter like I'm doing here. But as far as I can tell, on mine anyway, the terminal with the clipped corners down in there, not the square one, this one is negative. And the square one, the one closest to where you plug your resistor into, is positive. And you can see that shown here on the voltmeter. If I were to switch my probes, you'll see that we get a negative reading right there. Don't do it that way. Whatever you do, ensure that you've got the correct polarity. Okay, another important factor that you gotta remember before you just go plugging stuff in and flipping switches is you need to remember there's no communication between this unit and this external battery. So that means you need to be the one that ensures that they are identical in state of charge. Because what you don't want to have happen is have, say, this battery be fully charged and this be, say, 20% state of charge, and you go and flip your switch and all of a sudden there's a big voltage differential as well as state of charge differential. So the batteries are going to try to equalize and they're going to try to do it super, super fast. So you're going to have a huge amount of current trying to flow into that. Now, hopefully your breaker stops it, but we just don't want to mess with that. So make sure that everything's 100%. That's the easiest to make sure that everything's good. Battery's 100%. EcoFlow is 100%. We've double and triple checked our polarity to make sure it's correct. So now we can go ahead and throw the switch and connect the two. 3, 2, 1. Please don't blow up. Looks like we're in good shape. Okay guys, check it out. I got a little space heater going here. We're pulling almost 850 watts, 842. And if we come up here to this monitoring screen, we can see we're actually pulling 13 amps out of the golf cart battery. That is so awesome. And the EcoFlow actually kind of knows that something's up because, check this out, it's estimating around 5 hours of runtime, which is slightly under what we'd have because this is slightly over 5 kilowatts and this is 1 more. So that's not going to be accurate without the internal communication. But the point is it does know something's up because 838 watts is not going to run for a full 4 hours on this little teeny unit. You'll barely get over an hour of runtime if you didn't have an expansion battery. Let's push a little harder. Let's turn this up to high heat. There we go, about 1400, just over 1400 watts. And if we look at this battery here, we're pulling 21 amps out of it. If you look here though, this has a better forecast for estimated time remaining, and it's got 4.5 hours at this current rate of discharge, which is sweet. So before, the max you could get on a little teeny Delta 2 like this was what? A Delta 2 Max battery, so 2 kilowatt hours plus this, so total of 3 kilowatt hours of battery storage max on this little thing. But now the sky's the limit. Now we've got 6 kilowatt hours between these two units. Alright, so we can see discharging is working very good. What about charging? So I got the EcoFlow Delta 2 plugged into a different power station here. And you can see I've turned the charging speed all the way up. 1166 watts, almost 1200. And check this out. It says we're charging right there with a current of 14.7, 14.6 amps. So it works. And I can still use the EcoFlow app. So let's just say I want to turn this down to 500 watts. Turned it down. We've got less current on the battery here. So everything still works the same with the power station. And the sweet thing is, we didn't have to open anything up in the power station or anything, right? It's all accessible parts. So there's really no way for, warranties or whatnot to be avoided unless you make it a point to, tell them that you are doing this, or you make a video showing it off or whatever, right? So just think of the value proposition here. Get yourself a huge battery or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. 1 kilowatt units that still have like an 1800 watt inverter, all of a sudden their value just skyrockets, right? Because one of the biggest issues with them is people not having enough capacity, right? Granted, the inverter's slightly smaller, but it's still got 1800 watts. That'll run just about every 120 volt load you can throw at it. So I could see a lot of you opting to go with one of these smaller units now and not even worrying about one of the bigger units, where you can get basically as much battery capacity as you want. I've got my tower of power going on over here. So with proper fusing / overcurrent protection procedures taken, there's really no limit to how many batteries you could actually expand this on. If you engineer things correctly and size wires and overcurrent protection measures correctly, there's really no limit to how big you could expand this. Okay, a big fat warning. There's a significant safety issue with this setup. I've got to emphasize and re-emphasize. Before touching any connections whatsoever on that power station or over here to disconnect or connect, double check, triple check, quadruple check, and make sure that your disconnect is off. Why? You see a problem here? You see how we've got two male ends fully exposed right here? Okay, I'm going to exercise caution even though my breaker is off and I've turned off the discharge on this battery, but still, what you definitely do not want to have happen is have, say, this battery still on, have this still on, you go unplug this and these two somehow touch. That's going to be a dead short. And hopefully something trips, like this breaker or the BMS in the battery or something. But before any of that happens, there is going to be one heck of a spark and molten metal flying in different directions and all kinds of crazy bad stuff. So keep your head screwed on and ensure at all costs that this is turned off. And ideally, you've disabled the discharge on the battery, which is one of the reasons why I like this battery so much, is you can come in here to page 2 and actually turn off the discharge at the terminals to make it even safer. But the opposite is true too. Let's say you've left these plugs plugged into the power station and you go and disconnect these terminals. Well, we've got the same thing. Look, we've got exposed metal. So if that breaker is still on, we've put the resistor in so that we have direct access to the battery. So these ends of this wire are, at 50 whatever volts DC, and they touch together. That's again a dead short, and that will probably send sparks flying and stuff and could potentially destroy something in the power station. I'm less concerned about the external batteries because they're just batteries, right? But who knows what could get blown up inside a power station with a direct short like that. So anyway, something to be very, very careful about, and be sure you are always paying close attention and ensuring that this is off. That's your best friend because it's going to separate the two ends, right? So even if for some reason you left these ends plugged in and you took those off and they touched, well, that's stopping the power here, and so those ends won't have any power, and the vice versa is true as well. So that's why this is so critical. And guys, included in the price of this golf cart battery, you also get this super nice water resistant battery charger, 56.8 volt 18 amp charger. That just comes with every one of these batteries. That's a huge value for two reasons. Reason number one, let's pretend you have a gas generator that doesn't produce a clean, pure sine wave, or it has terrible harmonic distortion. Well, this charger will eat up dirty power all day long. Dirty power can harm your power station if you plug it directly in. So you can go ahead and plug this charger in and dump a charge into this golf cart battery, which will in turn dump a charge into the EcoFlow. But because that's converting the power to DC, nice clean DC for the battery, there's no dirty power whatsoever coming to harm your power station. Reason number two that charger is awesome. It completely bypasses the limit of pass-through charging on power stations. This Delta 2 doesn't necessarily have that problem, but the larger one, Delta 2 Max, has a 2400 watt inverter. Well, if you plug it into the AC wall charger, it actually derates its output to whatever it can pass through that AC wall charger, which is 1800 watts. So you're actually leaving power on the table because of that pass-through mode. Well, doing it this way allows the inverter to work at its full 2400 watt range while you're still dumping power in on the DC side. So it completely eliminates the pass-through charging bottleneck. And bonus number 3, better gas generator fuel efficiency. So go ahead and hook this charger up to your generator, and it's going to just put a nice constant load on your generator. Then let the inverter over here do all the fluctuating and handling of the surges and everything, and your generator will just sit there and purr happily and peacefully, powering a continuous load without all the surges up and down. Now, when you're charging with the external charger, notice that the EcoFlow shows that it's charging, little circles spin around, but because there's no communication, it has no idea how many watts are being dumped into it. So that is one negative, is you don't get monitoring on the app as far as input goes if you're using an external charger. Another huge benefit to this setup is solar power input. Let's take this Delta 2 again. It's got a max input power of 500 watts going in through its DC input. That's great, but what if you want more, but you don't want to upgrade your unit? Because 1800 watt inverter is perfect for your needs. Well, go ahead and get this set up, and then just simply add an external MPPT solar charge controller that attaches to the battery here. Simply throw a fuse on it, and then hook up a boatload of solar. This is my favorite charge controller because it's got a built-in app as well that you can use to monitor things. And they just upgraded it actually to an even better one, doubled the power in the same footprint. So I'll be sure and leave a link to it down in the description. But you can put up to 40 amps of power, so that's over 2,000 watts of solar into this battery now. So to go from 500 to 2,000, wow, huge difference. Most of EcoFlow's power stations are 51.2 volt nominal battery voltage with lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry. Absolutely crucial that you verify that your power station is lithium iron phosphate and the correct voltage before you go plugging stuff in. Otherwise, stuff is going to go boom. Now the battery I'm using here today is from Temgo. This is the golf cart battery kit, but you can really use any 51.2 volt nominal lithium iron phosphate battery. I love this Temgo because it's good capacity, not ridiculously heavy because it has this plastic case and easy carry handles and stuff. And then it also comes with a really nice Bluetooth monitoring app and basically shows you everything that that screen does just on your phone. Now this current setup right here is again courtesy of a post on Reddit, and I've just built it here and it helped explain how it works. But what if you have a different power station that maybe does not have the XT150, I think that's what they call it, extra battery connector, maybe the one of the Delta Pro units or Delta Pro Ultra or something like that, or you already own some expansion batteries for your EcoFlow, but you want to add additional batteries in conjunction with those. Well, let me show you something that I figured out myself that will allow you to utilize all of those units without any issue at all. And all you need, guys, to make this work is the ring terminal cable to the breaker, obviously the extra battery, and then one of these XT150 cables. I have the long one, and you can order an extra one because we're going to kind of cannibalize it a little bit. So all I'm going to do, guys, is carefully with my knife cut the insulation away from this wire, this outside jacket insulation. We do not want to cut the insulation of the wires on the inside. So take your time, do it carefully, but we just need to expose the wires on the inside here. Good news is, at least in this cable, the wires are wrapped in this kind of nylon-y cloth material, so it really helps prevent the knife from nicking the wires. It still can, so go slow, but that does help you avoid hitting the wires. And by the way, if you're wondering if 8-gauge wire is the correct size, wonder no more. This is an official EcoFlow cable, and you can see right here it is 8 AWG. So, okay, slow and steady wins the race. So just to clear off a little bit here, enough that you can kind of work with the internal wires. You can see we've got the main black, main red, those are our power cables. And then you can see we've got these 6 communication lines. We want to keep the communication data lines intact because we want to be able to still utilize those. And what we're going to do is simply cut these power wires here. Those are cut, so now I need to strip them. Okay, so that's done, and you can see the ferrules are on. Next, go online and buy these UL listed splicing connectors. I'll leave links for it down in the description. But these have continuity between them, okay? And I just took out the plug here. But basically what we can do is we can merge these 2 wires back together again and then add additional wires to this. So it's almost like a little mini enclosed bus bar. So I'll hook it up here and I'll show you. By the way, the 3-port ones were just the ones that were readily available. You just need a 2-port one to make this work. Okay, and here's the finished product. So we've got red coming through and just continuing through. And then I've got another red right here, and it's coming over here and plugging into the expansion battery. And then same thing with black. So we've just spliced black back together again, so it just carries through. And then we've added an extra cord here, comes over through the breaker and to the external battery. And so I should be able to take this multimeter, I'm going to set to tone, so continuity, right? I'm going to put one probe over here on the breaker, positive, and if I do test continuity on the end of the XT50i cable here, you can hear it's beeping. Now, something I don't have and I need to get, and something you should definitely do, is get another breaker like this, okay? We should add that downstream of these connection points. Why? Well, if you've got the extra battery here, plugged in right there, sending power through the wires here, and then all of a sudden we're injecting an additional amount in the middle, we have the potential of overloading the wires after the two come together. Because this is protecting, these wires right here, but it has no way of protecting these downstream. So definitely a second breaker right here would be wise. This is going to be the perfect solution for a couple of different scenarios. One, if you have an extra battery. So here's the Delta 2 extra battery from EcoFlow itself, as well as any of the other power stations that I'm personally not able to test to figure out, what you need to do to hack the port itself. Any other port besides this XT150 port on, say, the Delta Pro or the Delta Pro Ultra, I'm not sure if the resistor trick will work on those. But if you were to just get an extra cable that connects your power station to your extra battery and just simply patch into it, like I've done over here, this should work across the board. Okay, I plugged in an electric space heater here. It's on high. And if you take a look, out of the extra battery, we're pulling 900 watts. I have not added this battery yet. I just want to show you the difference it's going to make. Let's go ahead and turn off the load for a minute. I'm going to come in here and go ahead and enable the discharge on the golf cart battery. And if we hooked everything up correctly, nothing should blow up when I flip this switch. 3, 2, 1, please don't blow up. So we did come in, we were discharging a little current out of the golf cart battery, which isn't necessarily a surprise. You can actually see the Delta 2 is recording some output because it's transferring some power over to the extra battery. So these two units are communicating together. They have no idea that this unit is working in parallel with them. But watch what happens here when we turn the space heater on. Remember how we were getting like 900-ish watts coming out of both of these units? Well, check this out now. We're on high heat. Now from this extra battery, we're only pulling 350 watts. And same from the main unit, 350 watts. Out of the golf cart battery, we're pulling 17 amps, almost 18 amps out of that. So the golf cart battery is making up the difference. So can you see how just modifying the extra battery cable allows you to still add cheap expansion and still utilize what you've already invested in? Plus, this adds an extra benefit. If you're not comfortable soldering connections on the ends of cables and are worried about, getting polarity mixed up and stuff as you're plugging this in, because that's critical, going with this option is going to be substantially better for you because you can't screw this up if you've got your head screwed on and you've got the color-coded wires inside this cable as positive and negative. You just match your positive and your negative up to those respective colors. And then when it comes time to plugging them into the actual power stations themselves, you don't ever have to worry about getting polarity mixed up because these plugs are engineered to only fit one direction, right? You do not have to be nearly as nervous about polarity mix-ups, just modifying your cable versus, building the DIY cable. This is less expensive than this setup. I cannibalized the expensive cord that's over $100, but if you do the smaller, shorter one, like is in here, I think that's only like $65 or something. So for $65, you could get some cheap insurance to ensure that you are plugging things in the correct way and potentially the only way to tap into expansion battery capacity for the larger units like the Delta Pro Ultra. Just get one of those plugs, maybe get the head unit and one of the bottom batteries, and then get an extra cable that connects the battery and the head unit together, and do exactly what I did. Find the power carrying conductor wires in there and splice into them and patch your own stuff into it. And then one more thing, these Splice connectors, I call them Polaris connectors. They're similar to that, but they're not that particular brand. These are UL listed, however. But these particular ones can accept very large wire. I think all the way up to like 1/0 size down to 14 gauge. So it works great for this 8 gauge wire. The Delta Pro Ultra and those bigger stations probably have larger conductors inside their cables. And these could probably work so long as they don't exceed, like the 1/0 size. Then you'd have to get to larger connectors, which they make, to be able to utilize that. You could also consider some kind of bus bar or something, just where they're going to be in such close proximity to each other and laying on top of each other and stuff. I just liked the insulation and safety of these particular connectors. I think they're really good, and they're basically like a 3-port, insulated bus bar. So what about recharging in this configuration? I'm plugged into the AC wall charger there, and you can see the Delta 2 is charging at over 1100 watts. 1160-ish. And you can see only 184 watts is getting outputted. That's because this battery is almost full over here, so we're only dumping in 184 watts to the Delta 2 proper external battery here. And all the rest is getting dumped into this golf cart battery / going into the battery for the Delta 2. So yes, you can easily recharge everything as a full unit connected with this wire spliced connection scenario. So let's talk about cost here for just a second. Now I'm going to just take the best case scenarios here for EcoFlow, okay? I'm going to show you older models of their batteries, which are cheaper, and at the time of making this video, it's Black Friday time. And so things are even more on sale, which is kind of crazy. But I'm going to do this because even still, with the cheaper, older generation stuff, Black Friday sales, etc., the golf cart battery just blows the doors off these things as far as costs go. So EcoFlow Delta 2 Smart Battery. This is just a 1 kilowatt hour battery, currently on sale for $329. Well, this Temgo battery that includes the charger and everything is currently selling for $750, basically. That has 5 times the power capacity of this, so you'd have to buy 5 of these for a grand total of $1,645 to get the same battery capacity as this Temgo unit. Let's move to the EcoFlow Delta 2 Max power station. So this is 2,000 watt hours basically, but still the Temgo is 5, so more than double the capacity. $699, basically $700. So you'd be $1,400 to get 4 kilowatt hours of battery storage. That's still 1 kilowatt hour short of what the Temgo battery can give you, plus its charger. So again, it's a complete no-brainer, almost half the cost for even an extra kilowatt hour of capacity versus getting 2 of these. And again, these are the older generation models. The newer EcoFlow Delta 3 series is even more expensive currently. How about the good old EcoFlow Delta Pro battery? This is 3,600 watt hours, so better, but still 1.5 kilowatt hours short of what this Temgo battery brings to the table. And this is selling for a much more respectable $1,100, but still you need to get 2 of these. Now that would be more than one of these battery capacity wise, but you'd be over $2,000 at that point, and we're still sitting comfortably down here at $750. So the Temgo is still a better buy. What about the Pro Ultra model? Well, this thing here, we gotta scroll down here, but this is 6.1 kilowatt hours, so it's 1.1 kilowatt hours more battery capacity than this. This is 5.12, right? But holy cow, look at that, even on sale right now, $1,900. So I could go ahead and get 2 of these, right? And I'd still be way under the price of just 1 of these, and I'd have 10 kilowatt hours of battery storage. And so again, I'm going to blow the doors off this unit here. Now granted, you are going to need to get a few cables and whatnot with the Temgo. That's going to add a little more cost, but even a few of those inexpensive things in addition to this battery is going to just save you boatloads of cash. You guys are going to think I own stock or something in Temgo here. I don't. I am an affiliate of theirs, but they in no way, shape, or form have anything to do with this video. I'm just trying to help you guys spread your dollars as far as they'll go in today's world, because it's getting crazy out there, and there needs to be some dramatic things done to make our dollars stretch. And I think this is one of those things and one of those ways. Now, if UL listing is important and you don't mind not getting the free charger with the golf cart battery kit that is not UL listed, WattCycle just released an awesome new battery, and I'm going to be doing a video about this in the near future. Server rack style. Check this out. At the moment of recording this, $6.99, and I've even got a coupon code that will knock more dollars off of that for you. And check down here, certified, all kinds of certifications, including UL. So you could even pass inspection patching this particular battery onto your EcoFlow system that would also work with UL certifications. So those of you that are needing to pass inspections, stuff like that, be sure and check out this UL listed battery from WattCycle. Okay guys, so these were the 2 ways you can add cheap expansion batteries to your EcoFlow units. Sound off in the comments which way you think is best for you, what issues and problems you foresee with this that I already didn't cover in this video, and help us all become wiser and smarter, and maybe even see potential that hasn't been covered so far. Links to all the equipment and cords and cables and stuff are down in the description, so be sure and check that out. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hype, the 5 free things that really help small YouTube channels like mine. For some reason, the YouTube algorithm needs those things done to help it get the video in front of more eyeballs. So if you do that, I would really appreciate it. Okay, we're going to be experimenting more with this kind of stuff, so be sure and stay tuned. A lot of that's going to be driven by your comments, so let me know down below what you think, and we'll make more videos about this and experiment and see what we can figure out. Stay safe, and we'll catch y'all next time.